one does simply not walk into long play video. And number 62 on the list is The Fellowship of the Ring. Welcome to Long Play Video. Welcome into Long Play Video, where we're running through my 100 favorite films of all time. A special session now in the shop today. So, I mean, going from one sword and fantasy in The Princess Bride to maybe slightly different tonally. At number 62, we have The Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings film. And when I was looking around for people who had never seen the film, I wondered if we could form a fellowship for ourselves and have some people in. So delighted to welcome into the shop, first time video shop attendees. We have my nephews Woody and Freddie and their dad Rob back just about from Rogue One. Who Woody and Freddie, who both were born actually after this film came out, which is depressing in itself. But who have never seen any of the Lord of the Rings films. Welcome into the shop.
Hello, thank you.
And hello. I'm the mitigator in this.
I thought that was my role.
We'll see if you're Saruman or Gandalf. You'll have the role to play. But so Lord of the Rings, guys. Heard of it? Never bothered with it.
Always watched The Hobbit, so
that's a bad start.
I don't know how we haven't watched it. Considering how big a film person Dad is, I have no idea how we haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I know.
I think that's a lot to do with the playing time, in fairness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we've definitely tried and been like, can't be bothered.
I like to sleep through most films I watch with the boys, and if I slept through this one, I wouldn't get up at night.
But surely it features like it, you know of it, or you must have a reputation for being like an epic film still. I mean, obviously I know that you're both Marvel fans, so it kind of this predates all of the Marvel films, but like is sort of similar in the way that it was kind of conceived as like a big universe. Does it kind of compare? Do you guys do you know of it, or what do you know about it?
Yeah, definitely know of it. Obviously Gandalf and Gollum, but what I know, I can't tell you which film it's from. So I know Gandalf's "You Shall Not Pass." Obviously, that's quite a big thing. I know the wherever the big red eye tower is called.
So on. Yeah,
and then
it's like Lord of the Rings bingo. You hit them all.
So I know we know the big things, but then I also get mucked up because we've seen The Hobbit. So I can't.
Yeah,
I get a bit confused sometimes which one's which.
Yeah.
Hobbit's the terrible one. That's always the way to remember. Yeah.
But the terrible three.
Game.
Yeah.
You played a computer game. You played a computer game on it?
Yeah, so I had the first movie as a DS game, but I only got 10 minutes through. So I don't know more than the first level.
The Lego version, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the Lego version. Yeah.
Great.
Just out of it, the first level is escaping the Shire, isn't it? Or is it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you got to get a key or something.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Well, the graphics will probably be a bit better in the movie. That's to be said. So you kind of know the memes, but from an overall storyline point of view, what do you know of the story? And it's fine to say nothing.
But they're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I know it's all about walking because I know it's what Dad said. And I was thinking about
Game of Thrones.
Well, I was thinking about how I even know any of this. Obviously it's an older film, so Dad has mentioned it before. But I realised I feel like a lot of it we know from the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, amazing.
And I don't know if it's the same for Woody, but that's what I realised.
Yeah. Well, they had funnily enough, it was on the other day where they find the ring in the box.
And Frodo, they dress up as, and I don't know, obviously mentioned it so much that I know half the thing through that.
No, that's fair enough. I
There you
mean,
go.
yeah, even with the memes and stuff, obviously, you've also got one doesn't simply walk into Mordor. I think with that's a fairly dominant meme as well.
Yeah.
Meme or meme,
Yeah.
I don't.
depending on
I don't
how
want to
out
touch
of
you off
touch
on
I
your
want
own
to be.
podcast. But
Yeah.
I was questioning that.
Yeah. What is that? Well, I think we should question it. I would say meme. What is the correct pronunciation?
Meme.
Meme.
So why did you say weird, Andy?
No, I say a meme. I was just winding up the boys.
Yeah.
But we haven't invited them down to the shop to learn about youth culture. We've got to.
Well, I don't know. That's what I was hoping for. This TikTok thing. Yeah.
They probably think gelato is an evil spirit in Lord of the Rings. So it's kind of...
Well, I did wonder why you
Frodo.
had your cap on backwards, Kev. It's not like you.
I know. Like, getting down with the kids.
Yeah, you got to try. You got to try.
You
Okay,
definitely
well,
gotta
no,
try.
that's interesting. That's that. I mean, yeah, it is obviously has gone through all of culture. The films. Do you know sort of about the book as well? Like do you know anything about like Tolkien and when it was written or anything like that?
Didn't he make his own language? Was that?
He did, yeah. He made up Elvish, yeah. Like, and there's in the book there's lots of songs and I mean, there's sort of entire pages full of Elvish, which you have to go deep to really be enjoying those ones. So,
This definitely sounds like your kind of book, Andy.
yeah, well, I've read it a few times, as we said.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Punishment.
I did read it at school. For an English project where I was arguing about the sort of fantasy books could be sort of as literary as any other books, and so I compared Lord of the Rings to some Terry Pratchett books and some other books.
I mean, you were just living a rock and roll lifestyle at your school, weren't you?
I was hugely popular at school,
Yeah.
as you can imagine.
Put your leather jacket on, went outside. I mean,
I was
wow.
the rebel in the English class. But then and then this came out, and actually this came out in December, and then a couple of months later I went to Australia for some reason, actually for Rob's wedding, and basically I had a week by myself in Australia, and I read the entire book in a week because I didn't want to talk to anyone, because I just started work and basically didn't want to talk to anyone. So sat in Perth and Fremantle and read Lord of the Rings in a week, which was actually really good, because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I'd been talking too much there.
So so often they say, like, obviously the book they often say is better than the films. Obviously this is on your list. So how does that compare? How does the films compare to the book, do you think, in your mind?
Yeah, well, I think that's what almost Peter Jackson, that's the achievement, is he's made the films where you almost don't sort of think about what he's left out of the books. He's made such a good sort of narrative all the way through it that there's kind of a couple of big bits that aren't mentioned, but like they don't actually make the story go any faster. So I think that's the achievement, is actually these films are as good films as the book is book, and you can't really compare the two, because if you spent 20 minutes singing an Elvish song, I think it would sort of slow down the film a little bit. So he decides not to do that.
And even when the sort of book drags in a little bit when there's a lot of walking, and they mirrored that in the film. they drag walking out in the film.
You're not really selling this.
Yeah. That's like it's funny that was your description, Freddie. You're like, it's mainly about walking, and I'm like, actually, that reminds me, it is mainly about walking.
Well, the Fellowship especially, there's probably all of the walking happens in the Fellowship, but I think it's worth sort of noting just how unlikely it was that this was made as a film. Like different people had tried to make it over the years, and then the rights sort of bounced around, and then ended up with Harvey Weinstein and Miramax, who basically wanted it to be one film. And Peter Jackson was like, well, there's quite a lot to be in one film. And then apparently, he threatened to get rid of Peter Jackson and bring in Quentin Tarantino, which would have been a very different film. And I'm not sure that it would have, that it would ever work. But like, that's the thing for a fantasy movie, for sort of this type of movie with elves and goblins and orcs and stuff like that, you couldn't get the funding because no one thought it was going to work. No one thought it was going to actually be big. So
it seems weird because you've already had the Star Wars universe, right? So it seems strange to think, oh yeah, we've got aliens are fine, but not like orcs. I mean, come on, there's a limit.
But that's the thing, like everyone had tried to copy Star Wars, everyone had tried to do trilogies, and there's nothing that, like, nothing had been as good as Star Wars, really, like, or as big as Star Wars in the 25, 30 years afterwards, right? Lots of people tried and did fantasy films. The Labyrinth trilogy would have been obviously very watchable in my opinion. But like, that's the thing, like, no one managed
Indiana Jones. I know it's a trilogy, but
good one.
Based in the real world, though.
You've got a big love of Harrison Ford, haven't you, Rob? We know this. I don't know if Woody and Freddie are ready for this revelation. So
I bet you they've seen the Indiana Jones estate.
We have.
Well, apart from the scary scene, they still hide from that.
What, when he rips his heart out?
I just don't bother with the last two films, but I don't think, like, from a world building, like, completely separate. And that was kind of also the thing, like, making this film without industrial light and magic, and kind of I think Peter Jackson sort of did quite a lot of interviews sort of saying, well, he just always presumed that George Lucas or Disney would be the ones to make it because it is so vast, and obviously he invented a whole bunch of technology to actually be able to film it, which it's pretty impressive.
So I haven't actually sort of teed the boys up, so I'll probably come to Kevin and Andy first. As we're all standing around the counter, I'm on a bar stool and the kids are leaning against it. Lord of the Rings, when it came out, it was definitely like a shift in, film skills and animatronics, and because in my time I was thinking about this, so I can remember Tron being something that I've never seen before when it came out, and then The Matrix as well, and I think this is one of them. I didn't know whether the older two support that, and whether the youngest are like Freds and Woods, whether actually there's something that you've seen since this, probably one of the Marvel films, that you've actually thought, wow, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, game changing. Yeah, I think you're right. I think one of the things I remember about this is that everyone then knew about Weta Workshops, which is like the visual company, the visual effects company, and that just seems random. Like, why would we all know about that? But it was because, like you said, it was so groundbreaking that everyone just knew everything about the film. And I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, that was just something. I guess that was kind of how people felt when they saw Star Wars, right? It was just something like a game changer, just changed things so much. It would be interesting to hear, what Woody and Freddie think, if there's anything now that's been game changing, or if it all just feels, it's all just the same now. We've hit the level, we've hit the top peak. We need to there's only downhill.
Which do you want to go first?
I mean, I don't think there's been any like massive game changers. I think it's just slowly gotten better. So you had the older films, and then Avatar was obviously a big hit with that. And then since then, just a slow climb upwards. But I don't think there's been any big switches. Yeah,
because your baseline is probably the Harry Potter movies, because you watched them when you were quite young, and obviously, like, they came out, they started around the same time as this. So it's interesting. It's obviously, your baseline is obviously going to be a lot higher than ours was anyway. But do you sort of think, like, if you take Harry Potter, and I mean, even I have not seen any of the movies, but obviously I know that they get better
for the next 63 films.
Yeah. Is this a point just for you could tell people you haven't seen the Harry Potter films?
I like to get in as
Yeah.
Are we
much
going to
as
do an
possible.
episode on that and we host it?
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Well,
it. Yeah.
Season 5. You're welcome.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
pencil you in.
You
Well, we'll
remember cool Andy, who was just reading Lord of the Rings at school? He didn't have time for Harry Potter. Too cool for school.
Avatar's a good shout though, Woods.
Yeah, I think that's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of us just kind of grown with every year the films get better anyway. Like even we didn't watch the first Avatar in cinema, but the newest Avatar we did, and that was pretty good. And obviously, I understand all the whole thing is the water filming was great, but it was just almost another. It didn't seem groundbreaking because there's so much CGI and stuff these days that almost nothing is surprising.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, I found sort of like, so obviously it's without spoilers, there's a couple of fight scenes, and I think those fight scenes still work today. I think they're as good as anything in Game of Thrones or like anything since, and they have sort of cut and pasted into a lot of films. I remember the fire being a bit dodgy on the CGI.
You've never liked fire in movies, though.
Well, yeah, they just haven't got it
Since
right.
Backdraft.
Yeah, so I think that was the only thing that sort of when I was sort of thinking about, obviously I watched the films loads, that was the one thing that I thought they didn't get right. But all the fight scenes, I think, even now it's comparable to anything sort of, Game of Thrones or sort of like the later stuff.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I haven't seen this for ages, so it will be good to see if it does hold up. I remember, like you said, Rob, I remember at the time thinking it was just amazing. So it'll be interesting to compare it to what we've now been able to see up to 2024.
Yeah, well, I mean, so before this, the only sort of fully CGI character on film was Casper, the Friendly Ghost. That was
amazing.
That was the only one.
We've
and
seen.
then, obviously, we won't actually, spoilers or non-spoilers, but we don't actually see Gollum that much in this film, right? He kind of comes into it in the next one.
Cool. I thought you were going to spell Casper then. I was getting worried.
He's not a friendly ghost.
Andy.
But I think that still is just incredible. And I don't think, I think there's people who have, that's almost definitely regressed. Although, Andy Serkis is arguably the person who sort of comes out of this the best, apart from probably Sir Peter Jackson, because I'm not sure that he's earned that Sir from any of his other movies. But also, like from a cast point of view,
take us through it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it was kind of cast without anyone who was famous. I wonder, Woody and Freddie, do you know anyone in it?
I think some people might argue.
I think they were famous, but maybe not like
box
huge.
office draws. Then, like,
yeah, that's fair.
No one goes to see the new Christopher Lee these days.
I'm more full then. Yeah. Well, Woody, do you know anyone that's in it? Anyone that's famous / semi-famous?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say any of the actors' names.
No.
Obviously, there's Gandalf.
Yeah.
But I can't actually name any other films that I think he's been in.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Freddie?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I could have told you Andy Serkis is Gollum, and that's probably as far as I could have gone.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you know Andy Serkis. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Well,
that just shows you from this.
Fred has just done the Planet of the Apes one, so actually it'd be quite interesting to see how he thinks that compares. Compared to sort of Gollum in the next one potentially. Who knows with Andy's list? He might go for this too. Lunchbox 2, the sequel.
Yeah. This way goes straight to the third one, then we go back to the second, just to make it really interesting.
That'd be spoilers galore. Yeah, no, that's again, like when they made it, obviously, if you're spending, I mean, they spent about 100 million on each film, which isn't a lot, really. I mean, even back then, it's a lot of money, but like for what they've achieved. But I can imagine the studio being very nervous because you're kind of like, but who's the star that we're going to like hang it on. And I was listening to something, and almost when they got Liv Tyler to come in, they were like, "Oh, great! Well, that's at least someone that people would have heard of, and we might be able to get some people in to see." So it's and obviously, the Gandalf was slated for Sean Connery, which would have been an interesting choice. But they wanted to have someone that at least people sort of knew who they were and would go and watch it because they were in it, and to give it almost some credibility, because outside of sort of a 30-minute show reel that they'd put together, what they were trying to do just had never been done. And I definitely think groundbreaking is the way that I think even Matrix is definitely groundbreaking. It's definitely in the same thing where you just you'd never seen it before. But I think the scope and the size of what they build with this is just off the
for the time as well. So take us through like the key actors then, because you're right. The time they wouldn't have been super famous, but obviously now I'll be interested to hear if Woody or Freddie know some of these actors now, because I think some of them obviously have gone on to things that have probably been much bigger, so they've become more famous.
Yeah, so Gandalf is Ian McKellen, who, I presume
you'd know him from shows such as X-Men.
Yeah, exactly. So he's Magneto in X-Men. If you guys have seen that, and does very well. But is also obviously he's been in a lot of stuff. He's kind of big theatre. Orlando Bloom, obviously this was his first first film. Have you done the Pirates of the Caribbean? You done those?
We have
watched those.
No, he's the first one. He was
he's a wet lettuce in that.
Sean Bean from Game of Thrones.
That's what we all wanted.
Yeah, so he's Ned Stark in Game of Thrones, and he probably, goes on to reprise his role probably the most. Sean Astin, arguably, with sort of the most sort of leading men, from Goonies back in the day, but also, he was sort of fairly big, had quite a lot of.
Is it awkward to say that we know him from Stranger Things?
And Goonies.
Well, but he's young in that, so you don't realise. And then, he's the kid in Goonies. Oh, okay.
Is that Samwise Gamgee? They said when they first watched Goonies.
Yeah. What do you think, then, Rob? Do you remember? What would you say? Thinking any of those were favours when you remember watching it?
No. So obviously you knew sort of the older characters.
Yeah, but, I remember Sean Bean. For me, he was the only one because you were on ITV shows.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and I don't know. Even has anyone gone on? Obviously, Orlando's probably the only one who's gone on, and sort of, I know sort of obviously sort of McKellen and Gandalf.
Sort
of
he would have been the most, I guess, right?
Yeah, so there's an argument. But
with Christopher Lee as well. I think like of a generation, I think. You know Christopher Lee.
He was done by this stage, wasn't he? So I'm not sure any of them have really gone on and kicked on.
No.
Kate Blanchett is obviously like probably the biggest star in some ways now. Still,
I'm looking at I feel like I'm looking at Woody and Freddie's faces, and they think we're talking Elvish. They're like, "What? What words are you guys saying?"
Well, and then it is probably Andy Serkis, right?
Well, that's obviously Freddie just said his name, so he must be the most recognisable now. Then made it the most. And impressive considering you don't actually see it, so you actually only know him. Yeah, it's very impressive.
Just in case Woody hasn't picked Andy Serkis, he's the guy in Black Panther and Andor.
You know when they're in the prison woods and there's the sort of like the team manager guy.
Oh, that's Andy Serkis.
No spoilers for Andor. We still haven't made it through the second half of
that. He's known for voice acting, so.
It was the best the bad guy in the latest Idris Elba Luther. I'm not sure we watched that together or not.
We did.
And the main baddie in like the weapons guy in Black Panther,
Yeah.
and then I mean well, maybe we save it for the next film when Gollum's in it a bit more. But yeah, definitely the stop motion and not the stop motion, but like the motion capture stuff is it's definitely still impressive.
Lego filming. It's gonna be a hard
well,
watch.
that's it. Yeah, almost to compare it for us, that's kind of what this would have been like. Jason and the Argonauts and the skeleton fight was kind of the level that we expected. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's funny actually. So we've not mentioned Elijah Wood at all, and really the film revolves around him. So it's interesting that I guess his character is a bit flat, and he's involved in a lot of the walking and not a lot of any of the fun stuff. And then he hasn't really gone on to do much either, really.
No. I mean, he's always sort of more indie.
I feel like now maybe thinking about it, is this the curse of Lord of the Rings? All of these people are in it, and then they're no longer famous.
Well, I think they did okay out of it. Elijah Wood probably best for the voice of Mumble in Happy Feet.
That's probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a prestigious CV that he has to do such the two big trilogies. Really, was a Happy Feet 3? I don't know, maybe only 2.
Is that on the list?
Yeah, I'll be alright watching that.
Later on in the list. No. But that is the thing, right? It's if you pitched it of like, we're going to invent all of these special effects, but also hire 3,000 New Zealand army people to play various people, and then you look at the cast, and it is an ensemble story, right? It is lots of different things happening, and you've got to kind of believe each piece. Then again, it's, you can understand. I mean, it's just so vast that, to a certain extent, obviously, and he likes to do it. George Lucas with his universe can kind of make it up as he goes along and then change things if he doesn't like it. Whereas with this, there was even in the 90s, even in the early 2000s, there was the army of geeks that were that would send very strongly worded letters, probably in Elvish, to Peter Jackson. If he'd suddenly changed something. And there were some reading up about it, there were some wacky ideas going about the place as to where they would take the story. But I think it's impressive to almost not be able to recognize anyone, and for it to sort of stand alone.
Yeah, and I always I think to Rob's point earlier about the length, I don't particularly remember them being super, super long. And maybe just like nowadays you can have, now there's 3 hours, right? I think this film. So I think that nowadays I feel like there's a lot more films that go to that sort of length. Whereas in those days, I can't really remember another film which would have been 3 hours and you'd go to the cinema and sit down for 3 hours. So it was sort of unprecedented at the time for that as well. Yes
and no. I think there were actually more longer films than people remember. Like it definitely wasn't common, but like Deer Hunters, 3 hours.
And that's Deer Hunters like 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's the thing. Like, it's 70s even. Like, but that's the thing. Even in the 70s and 80s, you did have 3-hour movies. It wasn't definitely wasn't as common now.
When we were young, I don't remember there being any sort of real 3-hour movies. I felt like this felt like something different. I was like, oh wow, I'm actually going to go to the cinema for 3 hours. Like it felt like this is different. Yeah, I'm going to need more popcorn. Yeah.
You haven't watched as many Andy films as I have, Kev. I'm sure there's loads of 3 hours plus on that. Even if the runtime's only 90 minutes, it feels like 3 hours.
You have to watch it again because you're trying to say.
I mean, it gets people in. It gets people into the shop, and then we lock the doors, and they can't go. So, I think. I mean, it was definitely an event. It coming out, and so funnily enough, I went to the first showing in the UK outside of the premiere. Like I went to the midnight showing in Leicester Square for it. It was like it was a big thing. There was a load of build up.
Did you dress up as Frodo?
Not as Frodo. That would be crass. But there's an elf at the Council of Elrond that is no.
Yeah, Elf 754.
Who has an entire backstory. 2001. This was my first year in London. Nice. Funnily enough, at the time it was again it felt a bit like it was sort of Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings, because Harry Potter had come out and the first film was huge. Was hugely popular, and then this kind of followed that. They leaked some footage early, or didn't leak, but just sort of showed some footage early, and then it was the build up. I have the Empire magazine from when it came out, like the special, and again, like they're introducing all of the cast, sort of saying, I mean, especially Viggo Mortensen, and less in this one than in others, than in the others in the trilogy, but like again, for such a central character. You'd done a bunch of indie films, but you'd never heard of him. And there was no one that they sort of pinned the story on.
It's and we'll obviously talk about this at sort of the end, but it'd be interesting sort of the kids' views that actually there was like if all the actors are going in on a level playing field, there's definitely some that come away as better and more dominant and do really well, whereas others are sort of bit forgettable, and actually even screen time, there's some that get quite a bit of screen time that you instantly forget, and I wouldn't even know their names.
I
was going to say who, but obviously like you don't know, so
it's gonna be good.
Okay,
I'm presuming, Andy, you're watching the extended version and the director's cut, so it's going to be about 6 hours that you've got set aside.
I was gonna watch the director's commentary, and then
and I presume you're going to read the book beforehand as well, just to make sure.
Just to compare, compare the source material. Well, I think I think we're in the video shop. We've got like 6 or 7 different to choose from, but we've got to go for the extended cut, I think. So add on another half an hour, three and a half hours. But it's funny actually, because also like the film was definitely like a big event and everyone was looking forward to. But then the fact that they said, oh, we're going to bring out the DVD and there's an extended cut. Again, like that didn't used to happen that much, and there was so much excitement around the DVDs coming. And I remember like pre-ordering and everything like that to watch it and have it as soon as possible. And then because it all sort of blends together so well, I think most of us watched it and were like, well, what bits were added? I don't really remember from the original film. Like, what was lost and what wasn't, and so as far as like a DVD release, I think it almost was as big as the movie release in some ways, which again now you just don't you don't have that. Films slip onto streaming without anyone blinking. So
and the big reveal for after the film is why can only get past level 1. Based on the film, all you got to do is shut the door and you left. So we'll have to see what was too complicated for you, Woods.
Oh, speak friend and enter. No spoilers, no spoilers. Well, I'm looking forward to this. I think it will be interesting to see. I mean, it stands up. I think some graphics got better over the years, but then also having watched Ant-Man and Quantumania, I think some regressed quite badly as well.
You have to chuck a Marvel disc in there, did we?
Just trying to rile up Freddy.
I haven't watched that one, so it's fine. I don't know.
Oh, it's poor. Don't watch it.
I need to eventually.
From someone who liked the Marvels, I'm not sure that we can.
I didn't like the Marvels. I said the first half was good, and then they broke into song, and it was stupid. They had one good fight scene. And then it got rubbish.
Wow, just wait for the song routine in this one. It'll be unexpected.
Just remember, Freddie, when you're sitting through 3.5 hours of this, this is a film that Andy enjoys. So just remember that for the second half.
You never know when I'm going to recommend something.
Yeah. Everyone knows about Andy.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been stuck sat watching with Dad. We watched some Egyptian film that was 3 hours long, and that was
Lawrence of Arabia, some call it.
I don't remember. I want to remember. It was just long.
I feel like that's hard. I'm not sure that we can class that as an Andy film, to be fair.
It was
I'm definitely
that's
getting a T-shirt printed with that saying, "I've survived an Andy film."
And weirdly, the female leads get probably the same screen time in both. So
Yeah, well,
very male-orientated Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you do see a girl though, so it beats Lawrence of Arabia for that. But I mean, 4.25, I think, isn't it? Lawrence of Arabia, I think it's over 4.
Jeez.
So
Too long.
So did used to happen. But don't worry, Andy films are cross generational. It's fine.
Yeah.
We've seen Labyrinth.
Why do they I had to find someone in Australia to do my podcast with me, Kev?
Yeah, that was amazing.
You're just blissfully unaware. You're like, I can't believe no one wants to do this with you. No, it's weird.
Yeah,
Cool.
good. I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be interesting. Good reviews. Yeah, cross-generational viewpoints. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, well, we'll put it on. We'll put it on the extended. Obviously, we'll do an extended cut of the podcast as well afterwards. Just available to Patreon.
We're all dressing up for the second half, right? Yeah, it's not just gonna be me. We're all around.
You can bring your pointy hat. It's fine. Awesome. Well, Kev, show them around. Give them the prize seats. I'll do a little prediction before we get to the second half, and we'll see you after the jump. We're having to get more seats out in the shop than normal, but as the little fellowship goes over, we won't name who's who in the fellowship, but as they go over and find seats, this is a classic. I do think even now, I think it holds up. I think Freddie and Woody, I think they'll really like it. They'll probably think that this one's a little bit slow, because I think actually this Fellowship is so good because it sets up so much of the storyline that then delivers in the next two. So I think they will say that it was a bit long and a bit slow, but actually I think like once you've seen the entire trilogy, then you appreciate Fellowship a lot more, because it does move the story on quite a lot and kind of sets up everything then for the rest of the film. So we'll put it on. We'll make sure that everyone's fed and watered for the long haul, and then we'll see you after the jump.
Long. It was long.
It's long.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
That was it.
You'd seen Avatar 2 though, right?
Yeah, I watched that in the cinema.
Yeah,
but I don't know, when we were watching it, I just got a bit antsy and I started being like, I want to get up and move around now because this is starting to stretch.
Which is quite rare for him, Kev, to be honest with you. He was sitting there and watched TikTok for like 17 hours.
Yeah, but 3.5 hours of Mordor is too much. I get it. If the orcs are worrying, you got to get away from that. It's dark.
What do you reckon?
It is just long. It takes like an hour to get out of the Shire, and it's just it don't need that much prologue before you even meet like more than half the characters.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? I think it's about an hour and a half or nearly 2 hours before the Fellowship actually get together. And you're like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe it should be called something different, like we walk around the Shire. And
the Fellowship breaks up by the end, so there's what? At most an hour about the Fellowship.
That's such a good point, yeah.
It's funny, though, because I was listening to a podcast and they said that you wouldn't be able to make this film now because the youngsters don't have the attention span. So you've just proved that at least.
It just became like little action piece, which were decent, and then back to walking, and then another problem because Frodo can't do anything, and back to walking.
It's funny when Frodo's at the end when he's sort of looking out on the lake. Tiff did just say, just throw the ring in the lake and go home.
Yeah,
that would have been her solution.
Well, it would have all been fine if he didn't fall over, and I don't know what the chance of a ring falling directly on your finger are, but clearly that's a likely happenstance.
Well, that's because the ring is evil and trying to get found, though.
I thought when it started bouncing exactly where I wanted to go, I thought it got a bit weird. So, right, just it knows where it wants to bounce, apparently.
But like how, because obviously you need a certain amount of exposition to like understand all of the different sort of people and like the dwarves and the elves and stuff. How much of that did you feel like you already knew just because you'd seen The Hobbit and kind of just the lore anyway?
I did enjoy the start, like where they're talking about the rings, and I was like, okay, like setting the actual. I thought that was fun, and I enjoyed learning. Okay, this is what's going on, and then I kept asking Dad questions about Bilbo because I was like, why? Wait, so is he the main character? Is he writing the story? That confused me. And then watching it, I kind of remembered some of the things, and then as characters appeared, I was like, oh yes, I do know his name and remember him. Yeah, I like the start exposition, and then I didn't care.
And we kind of have to not have spoilers for the rest of the trilogy. Well, obviously this does set a lot up that then comes into play in the other films, and I would say I think this is a better film. Once you've seen all of the films, you kind of like, oh, that's why they did that, or that's why they went there. Because I would say, Lothlorien with the wood elves is a bit slow. But
that's what you want from a 3.5-hour film, isn't it? Like, watch this to set you up for the two next films.
But it is a film in and of itself. It's not like Marvel where you're just advertising the next one. They do actually have exposition. They do have a character arc. I mean, really, it's kind of Boromir's movie in some ways.
Yeah, well,
Sean Bean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then no one, like when you have the whole when they're in the dwarf the cave bit and like the dwarf, which I did think that was strange that dwarves had made the ceiling so excessively high. I just think it just seemed a bit bizarre. Like they're really overcompensated in there. And then when the Hobbit just knocks the armor down the well, and then obviously then Gandalf is gone. You're like, how after that did everyone not turn to him and go, "You fucking idiot! What have you done? You've ruined it for everyone."
He's the Jar Jar of the Lord of the Rings.
He does it like 3 times as well. It's like, surely get rid of him at this point. He's clearly not helpful.
That's what Frodo's like. Honestly, I know I'm going to say the Fellowship. It's just that guy. I just got to get rid of that guy.
I mean, right at the end, I think Legolas is right. Where he's like, well, we should go after Frodo. Yeah, you should. Like, even if you don't hang out with him, you should probably go and protect him and just be shooting people with arrows from miles away.
I said to Dad, I was like, why are they splitting up? That seems like the stupidest decision ever. When have we seen Frodo not been stabbed? He's been stabbed twice already. You think he's going to survive 20 minutes more?
No.
And Samwise protecting him.
No, Sam trying to help him and then nearly drowns. And you're like, that hasn't started off well.
But as Dad said, he was like, realistically, he's not that far underwater.
You've got 2 hobbits who can put their hands underwater and catch each other. It's like 3 inches of water.
It's just starfish. Why just starfish? And he would have floated. It would have been fine.
It's those heavy hobbit feet. They just, pull you down.
What about you, Words?
I don't know. Yeah, it was just setting things up. And for 3 hours, it's too long to set things up. Just one film.
Yeah.
But it's still good. That's
Did you like? Did you like the action scenes and the fights and those bits?
There's too many cuts for me because during the fight against the big goblin guy, just every movement was a cut, then a movement, then another cut. It's just I couldn't follow the fight too much.
Yeah, wow. There you go.
Yeah. Someone's attacking someone from over there, but there's another goblin over there that's being fought. It's too many cuts for one. Split up the fight in different rather than having every scene.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. They are, because they have so many like group fights where there's a lot going on. It's not like it's just sort of one person fighting and then everyone else just sort of sitting there ready to tag in. There's quite I mean, and that's kind of what it's known for, is the armies actually fighting and lots of people. And so it does get a bit choppy. I mean, I would say in the last fight, I'm not sure the Horn of Gondor as a tactical device, obviously, like it calls your friends, but it also kind of lets all of the goblins and fighting Uruk-hai know exactly where you are, and I'm not sure that was a good idea.
No. Was he trying to deflect people away from Frodo? I wasn't sure if that he was trying to pull them to him.
No, I think he was just trying to tell people that there was people, he was fighting people, which I think everyone would have known by that stage.
But they're the horse people, aren't they? And there seems to be...
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not. There seems to be a lack of horses, I thought. When they started off, shall we take a horse? Well, I'll only take one, and let's walk the rest of the way. You would have thought they could have mustered up a few more horses and a couple of ponies.
But I never had you down for a big horse guy, Rob.
Those three things, there's a lot of walking. You'd be surprised in the next one, Freds and Woods. What walks? Everything seems to walk. I don't want to spoil it.
And when they show you the map, it turns out Mordor is right next to the Shire. You're like,
I did wonder how long it would take them to get there. Right at the end, when you see how far it is away from them, and like it's off in the distance. It looks quite far. I don't know how long it's supposed to be as a timescale.
Yeah, but is it like this is here? That actually, like America and Russia are the sort of like opposite ends of the map. But actually, if you just fold it over, so if we'd come out of the Shire and turned right, it would have been like 20 minutes. You'd have been there.
Yeah, but dusted,
I don't know if we're flat earthers for Middle Earth or not. Whether it is a globe.
Well, yeah. What did you think then, Andy? You enjoyed it again, rewatching it?
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. I think I paid a lot more attention to Boromir this time, funnily enough. I do think his character arc is really good because he's such a dick, like a lot of the time. He just really is, like, even when he like gives the ring back and he pats Frodo on the head, you're just like, what? But he does give up the ring. He doesn't actually keep the ring, which is like in the lore of Lord of the Rings is very difficult to do. So he does actually kind of give it up then and give it back to Frodo in the mountain. And obviously, he's trying to do what's right for his people, and kind of take he is the epitome of like being corrupted because he thinks that the nuclear bomb can work for them rather than the baddies. If you're looking at the allegory, so I thought his kind of character development was really good. I think Mines of Moria is a classic scene. I think because obviously you've got a third of the film kind of gets you to Rivendell, and there's a lot of exposition that kind of sets you up, and then a third of the film is kind of Moria and then Lothlorien, and then the third of the film is essentially like going down the river and then kind of the final battle and stuff. And considering how much they include, I still think it sort of moves along at a decentest pace, considering how much they have to establish and considering how much they have to include of the world and the lore and everything else. I mean, obviously, there's still a whole bunch of people that criticize it because it didn't include bits from the book.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the book's just too big. You couldn't do it. I mean, it's already got enough in it. I mean, you think they're 3 films and they're all like super long, really. Like it'd be crazy to you can't include everything. And I mean, as we've just seen, you know, maybe it's too long for some people anyhow. So,
so woods and threads. Who do you think you are in the Fellowship?
big.
So Pippin's the annoying one, yeah?
So that'll be Woody.
No.
Old cannon and fodder, as we call Merry and Pippin.
I don't know. I don't really typically have adventures in the woods where I have to fight difficult creatures.
You two, you never go for a walk.
Yeah. Well, I'm not picking Frodo because he's a bumbling idiot.
You have to be. I think, to Frodo basically is like, you have no ambition. You're gonna have like the ultimate weapon. How dull do you have to be to not be affected by it and not actually be like, oh, I'm gonna take over the world. That's good. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
like Sam. Yeah, I know he does nothing during
Sam.
the entire film.
I'll happily give you Sam.
Yeah, but Sam's the power, really, when it
I
comes
preferred
to it.
Sam to Frodo.
Yeah, Sam's a better main character as he actually cares, to be honest.
Yeah, and he understands the mission.
Like friendship.
Yeah.
And, like, we got to make sure this happens. Frodo's there, just like, oh no. Gandalf.
And Sam brings the snacks. And we all like a friend who brings the snacks.
Exactly.
Was that one of your favourite quotes, Woods? Oh no, Gandalf.
Yeah, that's heart sharing. That's his theme, you know.
Obviously, Rob will go for Aragorn because we all know that's
Or Legolas.
one for the ladies.
I like my little black bows and arrows.
I think it's such a great move when they're on the mountain and he's just on top of the snow, walking on top of it. It's such a power move where he's just like, oh, you guys cold? I can just walk on the top of the snow. Why didn't you do that? I mean, Orlando Bloom, fresh out of college, hadn't even graduated from acting school. Before getting it.
Yeah, he didn't have to do a lot of acting, did he?
Yeah.
They're like,
Who would you be then, Anne?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about it. Obviously,
Gollum.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm Gollum over there. Yeah, I mean, I think Aragorn would be the one that you try and get to, because it's just, I think, like, if he's not one of the like top 3 coolest characters, he's definitely like, in comparison to anything else that Viggo Mortensen plays, like the gap in coolness is just huge. Like, he really does. You see him in anything else, and you're like, is that the same guy who did Aragorn? It's a bit like Avril Lavigne. Maybe he died and they replaced him with something else, with someone else. So yeah, I think he's always my favorite. I mean, John Rhys Davies, who plays Gimli, is 6'1".
Yeah.
So that's they do well there, I would say.
Yeah. Doesn't he play a giant in another film? I'm sure.
No, he does the voice of someone who's
a
quite
giant.
tall.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did think
no,
that.
no
he was
spoilers.
good, though. Yeah.
Although his pep talk wasn't the greatest at the end, was it? Where he's like, well, I've got to get through the mountains and the razor sharp rocks and stuff. You're like, yeah, all right. It's just a bit like that guy who turned up to Rogue One council to say the council was finished. Like, come on, just give us a go.
There's some positivity going here, yeah. I think I'd have to go Gandalf, you know.
Yeah.
Gandalf the Grey, you know, he's awesome, he's wise, he's he's always got a good witty one-liner, and always carries fireworks. Yeah, what more do you need?
A bit of a temper. He does have a bit of a temper. You would have thought he'd keep that under check a little bit, I think.
Him and Christopher Lee fighting is an interesting one, I would say.
Yeah, I must say I'll be interested to hear what Freddie was got to say about the CGI and the fight scene, because this was something that I noticed this time, that I did think it looked quite as good as it has previously. What did you guys think? Did you think it looked a bit? Did you think the fights looked a bit weird?
We thought it looked alright actually. We both, especially like, which they really like their wide landscape shots. We thought they looked alright. There was a couple of scenes. The witch scene in Rivendell was a bit bad. It wasn't the best CGI when she does her mystical power, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, against the horses.
No, when Frodo.
Kate Blanchett when she's the queen.
That was a bit rubbish, and also when they do the floating head, but then they did floating head in Thor: Love and Thunder, and that was just as bad. So the CGI wasn't terrible.
The floating head. What was the floating head?
When one of the king of the elves, he just like shows up in like some dreamy form or whatever. I can't remember, and he just like obviously cropped in. It happened, I promise you.
Right, okay. Well, for the next
Andy,
one, you have to read all of the characters. You need to. We need to know who everyone is.
King
Elrond, Mr. Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it stood up quite well, the CGI, I have to admit. There were a couple of bits which were quite clunky, but bear in mind how long ago it was. I don't think it was any worse, especially the sort of the big orc scenes. I think that, wasn't any worse than Game of Thrones or sort of like the later, like, because let's face it, everyone's nicked those ideas now.
Yeah. Funnily enough, because we had to stream it rather than watch the Blu-ray, because I don't have a speaker that plugs into my projector. So that's something I need to fix for the next one. But like the streaming, especially in Moria, seemed sort of off. But I think that's because it wasn't streaming in HD. So maybe that was it, Kev. Maybe because I presume that you were streaming rather than you have the 27 disc collectible edition.
I mean, obviously, broadband has just reached Australia, so it is peddled by hamsters at the moment. So. Yeah, it might be a bit slow. The thing I thought was a bit funny, when they're doing the jump, then they're going down the stairs and the stairs breaks. That's really noticeable that it looks a little bit dodgy. You're like, we can definitely tell when they're just about to, when it breaks and then they're just about to jump off as it's falling down. But I thought, the fight scenes look really good. Like, they obviously look, realistic, and then obviously they've used so many people. I mean, I think there's like 20 minutes of credits because all of New Zealand is in the film basically. So I think it was good.
They did something actually, moving people from LA over to New Zealand, because I think LA has the same population as New Zealand. So there was this big sort of thing to sort of get loads of people from LA to go over to New Zealand, because there wasn't people who could do like most of the film stuff.
Wow.
So the English did that to Australia as well. There's some connection. I can't remember what it is. I'm not sure just what's film out of it. But
it's good because they've completely forgotten about it and they never bring it up.
So, Rob, what's it? Did you think it stood up? Like, how?
What are your thoughts?
So I have to admit, it did seem to drag. So we obviously took the DVD off the shelf rather than streaming it. We're true to the shop and bringing that custom. But it did drag, and obviously me knowing sort of the next two films as well, it was very much scene setting. And actually some of it's not like individual scenes seemed to drag. There was nothing that I thought, right, okay, cut this and move on. But it just didn't seem to get any momentum. So out of the three, this is probably the one I wouldn't bother sort of rewatching. And actually, I'm not even sure I need as much scene setting. If it would just turned up and there was 7 sort of like Fellowship, 7 Avengers, and like basically said, "Oh yeah, we all met up for this purpose," I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, fine, yeah, I don't really need to know why you've picked Bodemir, who seems to be a bit of a wrong 'un from the start." So he's it's a Colin Gallagher of your starting 11. Just don't bother with him. You know it's not going to work, so get rid.
How would you? What would you compare it to in terms of the Star Wars films? What would you say it's on par with?
Yeah, probably Attack of the Clones.
Oh, okay.
Just like there's a couple of good scenes. There's a couple of really good scenes, but we don't need the love interest. We don't need a lot of stuff, and and it wound Leanne Woody up that when they put the sword back together on the plinth, they don't align it. Like, well, why not? Why don't you make it look pretty? You just basically ransacked it and just put it back in an odd order. So. I would say I thought that sort of like the landscape in like New Zealand looks stunning.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't
it? And I was really impressed with the music. I'd forgotten how sort of like the music just sort of underlays everything. So yeah, they were my two takeaways really.
I would say with the sword, obviously like the beginning is like, and everyone forgot about the ring and stuff. And yeah, in Rivendell, there's a big painting by the sword explaining exactly what happened. And you're like, well, does no one come here at all? Like, is everyone like, oh, what's that picture? I don't know. That was here when we arrived.
Yeah. You know what it's like? You put it up in your house and you just forget about it, Andy. You're like, oh yeah, that went up at some point. Yeah.
Someone painted it. Yeah, I mean, talk about sort of New Zealand just being like the perfect place to do it. And yeah, I mean that some would say that the walking is a good way to like show the expansiveness of the entire world, because you've got the mountains and you've got kind of all of the settings and stuff as well. So
yeah, you'd almost expect sort of it's like a little tagline down the bottom saying sponsored by New Zealand Tourist Board. Because, it does look good. Yeah, and obviously you've got the mountains and then the plains and the river and everything else. So
yeah, and I think because this thing I was listening to is actually comparing it to Dune, as far as like the sort of the introduction and like the world setting. And obviously Dune at the beginning, Zendaya sort of tells you about spice, but then it does move on to the story quite quickly, and they sort of then try and do the narrative or they try and explain everything kind of throughout the film rather than kind of setting it up at the start, which obviously I think is maybe an interesting sort of way of how movies today are, because of attention spans changing, and then now how it was sort of 20 years ago. I think it's just quite interesting sort of the difference. Obviously like 2 introductions is a lot. I mean, Lord of the Rings is famous for having like 4 endings. So
well, I do want to Woods and Fred to almost rate this film to then when we come back to it in later films, because actually I don't know, it's like Usual Suspect. It's pretty mediocre film, but at the end's so good that it makes the rest of the film seem good. And it makes me wonder when you two watch the next 2, whether you then think the first one, now we see where it went. But weirdly, I thought the first book moved quite quickly, where I can't remember, maybe it's the start of the 3rd book. It's quite slow as a book as well. But actually, it almost seems the other way with the film. So sort of the next two, I think, move a bit quicker.
Yeah, I think that the narrative structure in the first book is weird, though, I think, isn't it? It's not like, I think there's a lot of sort of flashbacks. I think that they go into it a lot. Funnily enough, I was thinking of reading it again after watching the film, and just sort of as a comparison. But I think I remember that it sort of it cuts quite a lot of different places, whereas in the 3rd book it's basically like the two sides of the story. No spoilers. So like I definitely skipped half of it the first time I read it, because I was like, this is boring. I just want to
about 20 pages just walking in the book.
Well, it's no Game of Thrones, as we said.
Wow.
Freds or Woods, did you come up with a way to describe it to the aliens at all?
Creatures go for a walk.
Just to the point. The walking really got you. I could tell that was the That was the
Well,
overriding
In
thing.
fairness, I'd kind of heard that was what the film was going to be, and then I watched and was like, yeah. So they go for a walk and they have a couple stops at some places. So
So when someone you say, "Oh, I watched Fellowship of the Rings," people are going to be, "Oh, what's that about?" You're going to say, "Oh, I was just walking." It's just
well, no, because people aren't aliens.
all of the other stories, no, it's just
aliens need a quick answer. I go, yeah, people are walking. If I talk to actual people, I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. Not unlocked. I'll let you know when I finished it.
You'll be like, yeah, don't watch the first film. Yeah.
Did anyone else have one for the aliens?
I'll just put tourism video for New Zealand.
Nice.
Just like you get to walk around and see the different sites. It's a pleasurable. You could have this on in the background of like a pub, and just be, oh, that place is nice. What's that?
Well, I know it would be useful if the aliens actually just went to New Zealand because it's so far away from everything important. Then, we can have the aliens down there. We'd only find out about it in like a couple of years' time.
Don't insult all your New Zealand listeners.
We've got to have a Twitter spat started every pod. So
yeah.
Well, I went with I continued the conversation, and I went with, I know we said balls are the most important thing in the world, but actually it's rings or anything spherical because circles are weird. Anyway, before you attack, you can just find the one ring and then you won't need to, but it's difficult to find because there's a short guy who has it who can disappear, and don't expect to see Tom Bombadil. So I just have a feeling that the aliens know Tom Bombadil and that with a lot of the reviews, 3-star and otherwise, they're very annoyed that the most random and strange character in Lord of the Rings isn't in this movie. So,
all right. Well,
it's even boring. You're a synopsis of
the aliens get it when they understand.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, bring it on. This is what we did last time, because obviously the men win.
Yeah.
And you like the aliens can't be any worse than the orcs.
Fighting, I mean, there's no way the aliens can be worse than orcs. Well, I mean, obviously they could be. They could all be Balrogs, to be honest with you. They'd be a very big spaceship if they did that.
Oh yeah, and that was something I wasn't sure about. Whether goblins are worse at firing arrows than stormtroopers are firing their weapons. It's like Legolas is just picking them off one by one, like from everywhere. And they're like, none of these arrows are hitting anyone. Like, what's going on?
Funnily enough, I had the same sort of thought that there seems to be like thousands of them, and and basically 3 warriors. And like, I'm no thug myself, but I reckon I could take on Saruman. All I need is a stick. I don't need a sword. It's like a nice 5-inch snooker cue, and you just poke him in the eye until he falls over.
He's got that frying pan that he can go at you.
Yeah. Again, bear in mind how small a hobbit's got to be. For a hobbit to sort of like swing a frying pan, I'm convinced you could do sort of almost a little, I know, Lauren and Hardy, put your arm out, and it'll just be swinging and missing.
The Three Stooges. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I mean, I think goblins are the same size as hobbits. I think just to say, the troll I thought really stood up. Actually, I thought that really still worked. That was I think that was probably the best of the CGI. That did actually. And again on something I was reading, they said compare that to the troll in Harry Potter, and it sort of shows how much further they were ahead of Harry Potter as far as the effects are. Obviously, I've never seen a Harry Potter, so
I thought you just talking about J.K. Rowling.
She loves a Twitter spat. So don't get started.
Don't take her on. Yeah. We don't need that.
I would say, I mean, as you say, well, when they were doing the Fellowship, they're like, oh, okay, you have my sword, you have my axe, you have my bow, and then Boromir's like, okay, I'll come along, and everyone's a bit like, Really? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
Don't feel obliged if you don't want
Yeah.
to.
Is it Andy at the barbecues? Yeah, well, if you're not busy, yeah, we've got no reason not to invite you. Just hang around for the first hour, and that's fine.
Who's going to have to share with him? Oh, that's going to be a nightmare. So, I mean, presumably, anything that you would sort of switch around, just less walking, take an hour and 3/4 out of the film.
I thought we didn't need as much at the Shire. I thought there was a lot we didn't need there, and I feel like a lot of it in reference, obviously, as I learned, I had to keep asking Dad.
Not your dad.
Obviously, he's actually writing the Hobbit, which is a prequel. Bilbo, that is, obviously. And I just think, I think you could have that first exposition bit, which I thought was quite good, and then you could almost just and then Bilbo gets a bit weird and tries to run away with the ring. We don't need his birthday and see Frodo. Oh, I really like Gandalf. We can just be like, oh, you can just have it as Gandalf gives Frodo the ring. Frodo's like, oh yeah, you're my friend as well, and that's that. We don't need the whole. He sat in a cart with him talking. You can let us know they're friends in a much easier way.
You could have done the Star Wars titles and like the scrolling script and said, I found a ring, it's bad.
Yeah.
7 guys have met up and they're going to fight. And you like that takes out the film, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I presume you mean Brewster Millions. Scrolling word text. But well, maybe for the next one, we need to go for theatrical cut. I'm sensing that extended edition is a bit much for the boys. Funnily enough, because I think all of Bilbo's exposition is extended. I don't think that was in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I can remember. There was a couple of scenes that I remember weren't in the original, but when you put the first DVD in and it's 2 hours, you're like, okay. Then you put the second one in, it's another 2 hours. Now, obviously, you're going to have 45 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right. Let's go for it.
Yeah. I think because this one just sets everything up, isn't it? And obviously they, the rule of 3, they wanted to make sure they made 3 films. So the other 2 films, I think even if you did the extended version on the other 2, it'd be so much better. It's just this one's just so long and there's so much setup that it can feel long. I think in the other 2 it'd be better. There's a lot more better. I would say, from my memory, the scenes are a lot better. It would work. It would work with those.
Was there any genre or anything that you would change out?
It's basically a Western, isn't it, really?
Oh yeah, walk us through that.
Well, that's always just a Western. So obviously sort of the old fashioned sort of like cowboys and Indians. So obviously you got the Indians trying to attack and sort of the cowboys going over the Rio Grande and trying to sort of get to the end. Yeah, that's basically what I thought, which funny enough is the same as Star Wars.
We just need to confirm with Freddie, is that your opinion? Has your dad stolen that, or is that that's OG? All right.
No, nothing. That one's completely his opinion, and I won't be hopping on that. Yeah.
Bit of dance in the woods for you. Would you want some singing?
I would have said just go comedy. You could have just easily made it.
Yeah.
Just a quick switch. It'll help the attention span. And
I don't know about that. I think the genre was fine. I did enjoy the story, and like as long as it was, I was like, I didn't get bored of the actual story. I was just like, okay, come on. But I thought the story was interesting, at least. Like, whereas with newer films, if there's even a story, they're not that grasping. Whereas this was like, okay, I'm quite intrigued to see how they handle this ring. I want to know more about Gollum. I thought that's quite interesting. I was like, so I found the story interesting. So I think the genre is helping fine.
There you go.
I think we're 50-50 that Fred turns up to the next one in a Gandalf costume. I think that's what we're
could be happening.
Gandalf was a bit, he's obviously classic, but I was a bit like, I was like, he seems like he's not the greatest anyway, the greatest guy anyway. And I wasn't moved by his death scene. I was like, No.
How do you think it would have been if Sean Connery was playing the role instead? Think he'd been better?
Do you know who Sean Connery is?
James
But they
Bond.
should have stuck.
James Bond?
Yeah. James
Yeah.
Bond.
Well, I have no link to Sean Connery other than known James Bond, so I wouldn't have, I don't think it would have changed much.
No. He would
You
definitely
probably
been
find
Scottish.
Downey
Yeah.
Jr.'s their equivalent of how Sean Connery.
Yeah. Yeah. He would have been fun in this, actually. Like, he'd have added an extra bit of sort of comedy to the Fellowship.
Who do you think he'd play if you had RDJ in it? Maybe that's what we should do for the next one. Is which Marvel actors would play each of the roles?
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
Boromir, whatever his name is, the bad, the annoying guy. That's who I think he'd play.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be good. Yeah, maybe
I do think Frodo's just Daniel Radcliffe, though. They're just basically the same person. Never seen together, I've heard.
Well, I mean, obviously, we can't accuse JK of stealing any ideas from Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, can we? Just because it's cool. Yeah. What? Any favorite lines that you guys had?
I like the during Bilbo's birthday party speech. Like, I don't know half of you as much as I would like, and the other half I know like half too much or whatever.
Yeah.
I always like a little jibe in a speech. But you've got to recognise you two. You're sort of like, I know, sort of you shall not pass and all these things from memes and
I know.
Because
he says that, but then there's also one earlier where he's like, "You cannot pass." I was like, "Oh, it's a little. We're not there just yet. Still got a long way to the actual speech, the actual line, but there's a little nod towards what's coming."
Yeah, I mean, we say I have no memory of this place quite often. That's just that's just a part of our vocabulary. Fool of a took. Say that quite often. I mean, second. Yeah.
What sort of scenario?
Just on the street. Just seeing people.
When someone's done something silly. Second breakfast, I just love as a concept, just generally. Always appreciated second breakfast.
Funny.
I do think it's funny also when they talk about the leavened bread and they're like, "Oh, a small piece will fill a man's stomach." And they're like, "How many do you have?" But 4.
We did chuckle at that one.
Yeah. And then onto the 3-star reviews. They're obviously as thorough as you would expect from Lord of the Rings fans.
Nice.
Yeah, one actually I think who agrees with you guys. Not worth it. I thought I would see quite a bit of additional footage. I saw quite a bit of credits, that's for sure.
Why watch the credits? Why were they watching them? I mean,
didn't watch
stop the film.
We saw the title card pop back up and we left.
Made it. Yeah,
done it. Someone said their review began as the first DVD I have ever watched. This one will take some beating.
Interesting.
That's
Someone
interesting.
went rummaging through
I wonder if that's
for their dad's attic.
is that DVD first movie? Like that's you're going some to start with Lord of the Rings. That is probably going to
blow their mind when they watch an hour and a half film. Well, what's happened? Over.
So someone said I very much agree with Mike Heron's earlier review. No idea what review.
Brilliant.
The product description, excusing the omission of Tom Bombadil and the replacing of Glorfindel with Arwen, shows a lack of respect for the original work. And then says the appearance of something at Helm's Deep is explicitly contrary to the book. And you're like, Helm's Deep wasn't in this movie. So
it's not fun.
Actually, like, watch yourself. You were criticizing the movie, and you didn't even get it right.
Did you reply to that one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, GJ was the person. I don't think that's his real name.
Do you need to explain this Tom Bombadil thing?
No, we'll leave it enigmatic.
character and actor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Someone said didn't watch it. 3 stars.
Amazing.
Bit of a strange
Absolutely amazing. Why do people insist on doing reviews of stuff that they've not done? What is the point? Go and do something with your life.
Someone else said John Rhys Davis. He was just watching John Rhys Davis impression of Sean Connery pretending to be a dwarf. So I think they just feel that all Scottish people are Sean Connery.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I found out actually I can read German because one review was in German and it said "Ist okay." The film were okay. So I was like, I magically, I can actually read German.
Get that on your CV, mate. Yeah. That just put it next to Elfish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I dress up for the interview. What films did you go for the Algo? What did you think it was similar to? Funnily enough, that they said related films were the other two, so they didn't have the other two as like similar films, which I think is probably anything in the series. Maybe they've changed it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned Dune. I can see sort of the similarities as a saga.
Yeah.
And just a lot of B movies with zombies and stuff. Monster Hunter, as an example.
Yeah. Troll Hunter
nice.
up in Norway would be. Did you have anything, Kev?
I just it's the same sort of stuff, right? And then obviously the other films, Hobbit. I'm trying to think of other films that were that sort of level, that size, that sort of epic sort of adventure. And really, I think that other than I know we spoke about obviously Avatar in the first half, really, I don't think there's really been anything else that's been this same sort of epic, other than obviously like the Marvel side, but it's a different, completely different universe. I that's the only thing I could think of was that were those really.
You wouldn't say World of Warcraft?
Is there a movie of that? I mean, that's the wrong. I'm the wrong. You're asking the wrong person that question, Andy. You need to be asking Freddie or Woody that one.
Well, there is a film, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Have we seen it?
I have. I think
World of
we watched
Warcraft,
it.
yeah.
We watched it at home, not with you.
Yeah, you're not missing them much.
I think I've sort of started watching it on a plane once, but
yeah,
I don't remember.
Chronicles of Narnia. Weirdly.
Yeah. So it's an epic sort of land, I guess.
I would have said the D&D film that was released.
Yeah.
It has the same categories of species. Argue. Try.
Wait, the D&D film is a comedy.
Yeah, but it still has orcs. The elves have the same traits.
Yeah, but Harry Potter has a troll in it.
Right, yeah.
It's not the same
But
film.
the fantasy idea. Obviously, 2 different genres. One's very good film. One's just, there.
Yeah, but just
just in my opinion,
films are completely different from one another.
Yeah. I
don't know where you get your spats from, you two arguing.
I love it.
Like that.
It's good. Let's get it. Fight.
You should have seen me watching a Rogue One. I was like, well, you're missing so many points. I was like, come on, Dad. Sort him out. Well, James Solo. I love that film.
Yeah, it's a good film.
This
Andrew's
is
podcast. You don't get re-invited if you disagree with him. You get ended up with Princess Bride.
I mean, I think Princess Bride has a lot of similarities. To be fair, having just watched it. I mean, Harry Potter, World of Warcraft, Chronicles of Narnia. Kind of. I mean, they say The Hobbit as well, which obviously is a bit cheating. Yeah, I think do we think that it is like Harry Potter? Because that's the big comparison everywhere.
I don't think I would say it's Harry Potter. No, I think they're very different. I mean, obviously they're sort of magical, fanciful sort of lands, but I think they're very different. I would say.
Yeah. Agree. And Harry Potter takes 7 films to get their story done, so 8 films. So
same runtime, but
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we're not going to give it to the algo then if we disagree with Harry Potter, because that's the
I
one
don't
that.
know. Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh on Algo.
Really?
Oh, Rob's
You think
taking the
he'll-
other side. He
he'll
doesn't want to get
recuperate?
Remains
replaced
is like
by a
Harry
robot.
Potter.
Well, yeah. I think it's a generation thing, isn't it, surely? That so bear in mind, so this was written sort of like late 1930s into 1940s, and I know sort of we obviously sort of read the book, and sort of my dad was quite into it, and then obviously 30 years later with Harry Potter, so I can see it being the same sort of saga story, sort of characters and stuff. So yeah, it's not necessary. I wouldn't jump straight from this to Harry Potter, having never seen any of the films either. But I can see a link, as in sort of the saga of the story, and yeah, it's the same with us with Narnia. I guess again, it's one of those things, all very much influenced by the books.
Yeah,
And I know
we've
the
got
Algo's losing severely, and yeah,
you're fighting for the underdog.
yeah, always.
Just like Solo. It's Solo all over again. Yeah.
Wanting the robots to take over. Okay, well, yeah, it's not democracy, so I'm awarding it against the algo, because I don't think they are very similar at all. I get the fact that they're a series of books, but obviously one is set in the real world just with a bit of magic, and then yeah, Lord of the Rings is not. So
he's turned into Bodomir. He's going off on his own.
Nice. All right then, Andy. So it's on the list. It's what's it, number 62?
yeah.
Where is it going? Is it changing, moving?
Yeah, I think it will sort of stay in the same place. I did think about moving it down. No, I did think about moving it up.
Come on.
Here we go again. But because I do think it sets it up, and yeah, I think this film, yeah, it does. It's not as good as the other ones as standalone movies. That's why there's like 20 places between this and Two Towers. But yeah, I think it kind of sits where it should sit. I still really enjoyed watching it. I think there's a lot just visually that's really enjoyable and stuff. So I think keeping it at 62 with the other ones sort of being, as I say, quite a bit higher.
Was there a one-word reaction from Tiff at all?
Tiff loves these films. This is the first film that she's watched in its entirety with me for the pod, and she loves it. So
we're gonna need a review from her for the next one.
We'll see if we can we'll see if we can invite her on.
Yeah.
Where did you put it in your list?
I put it in the good section. So I still did enjoy it. It is too long, but it does set up the scene very well, and visually it's incredible. I think, as you said, Rob, the music was fantastic. The fight scenes with the different like genres all really good. But yeah, there's probably just a bit too much stuff that's set up. But I did still really enjoy it, so I put it at number 17 of 39, below Philadelphia and above Never-Ending Story. So what a trilogy that would be.
That would be a weekend, I would say.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much to our guests. Woody and Freddie, how much are you looking forward to or not looking forward to watching the next one? Like, what? Talk me through your feelings about having two more of these movies to go through.
I think it will be good because I like to see what happens, and I'd like to see Gollum do something. I want to know what happened to the other two hobbits, because they just got taken.
Yeah.
So I like to see it as I'm assuming it doesn't answer all the questions because there's a third one. But I like to see what happens next.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think there's an actual story here, and we don't get that a lot in new films where there's a interesting story, and actually for it to be 3 films almost quite interesting. So actually, I'm intrigued because I think the story is quite compelling. So actually, I'm quite excited to see where the story goes, and I did think the fights in this one were pretty decent actually. And they weren't the central part of the movie, but they were still good. So I'm excited.
No, there's some doozies. There's some doozies coming up, I would say, in the other two. There's a couple of really good fights. So awesome. Well, thanks for coming down to the shop and experiencing Lord of the Rings for the first time. So the quote for the film for next week, if you look up idiot in the dictionary, do you know what you'll find? A picture of me? No, the definition of the word idiot. But
Nice.
it's a bit obscure, but I think a couple of people will get it. Thanks to Tom Evans for the theme song. You can find us on Instagram and Longplay Video, and also go online and visit longplay.video to see all of the leagues and tables. And we'll see you next week.